Prime Minister Modi has sent a stern warning to separatists in Kashmir, addressing the nation on the 23rd edition of Mann Ki Baat. Prime Minister Modi has said that those who are instigating the youth in the valley will have to answer them one day as well. Condemning the killings in the valley during the unrest, Prime Minister Modi has said that the loss of lives, be it security personnel or youngsters, is a loss for the entire nation. Kamaljeet Kaur Sandhu is now joining us with the very latest. Kamal, the Prime Minister's warning there to those who are instigating the youth in Kashmir. But at the same time, remember, the Chief Minister of the state has urged for talks both with Pakistan and separatists. Now, how are these things going to be managed by the centre and the state government, considering the situation and the stand taken by the centre on this entire issue?
This speech, perhaps, Maha, many would say, was long overdue, especially over the issue of Kashmir. Many even criticizing the NDA government led by the BJP, that perhaps this issue was not being dealt properly. But with Rajnath Singh going there at least twice, the message was very clear from the centre. And even as the Prime Minister himself has mentioned it, that if there's any loss of life, whether it is of a Kashmiri youth or of that of a security force, it is a loss of a nation. That yes, even though there are divergent views as far as Kashmir is concerned by political parties, they're united on one front, which is about unity and affection and how there should be a healing touch as far as dealing with Kashmir itself is concerned. But remember, it's going to be a very tricky situation. At this point of time, the Prime Minister or none of the ministers have actually mentioned that there would be a delegation level talks with Hurriyat. Though there have been separate demands even by the National Conference and even by Mehbooba Mufti, that talks should not just be internally with all political parties who believe in the system itself, but also with segments such as separatists and the Hurriyat itself. And remember, Hurriyat leaders have been arrested in Kashmir, which is going to make problems even worse for the centre. 51 days running, there are curfew-like situations. There is still a cycle of silence going, of violence there. This seems to be a major cause of concern, and even as Pakistan is upping the ante. Now remember, they're sending 22 MPs to different European countries. They're obviously putting pressure, and India wants to make it sure that this is an internal issue and they will handle it properly.
Let's now go across to Junaid Mattu of the National Conference and Wahid Rahman of the PDP. First to you, Mr. Mattu, what is your party's response to what the Prime Minister has said on Kashmir in his Mann Ki Baat today?
Well, I think this is picking up from the meeting, the meeting that the opposition parties had with the Prime Minister, following which the Prime Minister for the first time publicly actually acknowledged there is a political issue that needs a lasting solution. And I think the Prime Minister's statement after that meeting, the Prime Minister's words today are obviously positive. We hope that these pave way for a broad-based, meaningful and credible process of dialogue. And one certainly hopes that. As far as his mention of instigations goes and his mention of, the youth being exploited go, it's a fact of history and it's a fact of our present times that these youths have been cornered and instigated, most of all, not by the separatists, not by any vested interests, but by the failures and follies of New Delhi and the system of politics that has tried to contain the sentiment rather than engage with it. So we should introspect rather than pointing fingers outwards. Yes, there are vested interests too, but a lot of introspection is needed in how and where we have failed. So one certainly hopes that the instigations stop, and one certainly hopes that the instigations also stop from our elected Chief Minister, who has been making a lot of provocative, I don't want to take this issue down to her level, but because this issue is much bigger than her. But a lot of instigation, a lot of provocation has been coming from her aggression, her complete lack of empathy, visible empathy. So I hope all of that stops as well.
Okay, let's get in an answer then from Wahid Rahman of the PDP. You've just heard what Junaid Mattu said about the Chief Minister as well. But, the question I want to ask you first is that Mehbooba Mufti herself has said that she would want talks to be opened up with the separatists also. And you have the Prime Minister today say that those instigating the youth will be answerable to them, clearly pointing at the separatists. Is there then not a dichotomy in what is coming from the centre and what is expected or what the state is expecting the centre to do?
Well, of course, those instigating will be answerable. But the larger question is, again, if you look at the Prime Minister's statement, the first time the Prime Minister of India or the government of India is saying that we need a lasting solution to this problem. So we have been giving in the past, this is a 60-year-old problem, and the genesis goes back to 1947. For the first time, an approach in Delhi is that let's find a permanent solution, come whatever the solution is. And at the same time, Prime Minister is continuously making appeal, trying to reach out to the people in Kashmir, the youngsters, and even, I mean, they have made the Home Minister came twice a month.
Mr. Rahman, when you say this is the first time that this approach is being taken, isn't it a bit late in the day? It's 51 days that we're seeing curfew and restrictions in the valley.
Yeah. Look, Hartal comes first, then comes the curfew. Curfew is to prevent the loss of life. We are trying our best to prevent the loss of life. At this time, all we can do is to impose curfew in certain areas so that there is minimum sort of loss of life. But at the same time, I'm again coming to the point. Curfew and Hartal is not the solution to this problem. We have seen curfews. These agitations have been going on from last many years. Now, you need a lot of consistency from New Delhi to initiate a peace process or a meaningful dialogue. Today, the reason PDP-BJP alliance was formed again was that there is a powerful mandate in the government of India. There's a powerful Prime Minister. There's a strong leadership in the center which can really take an initiative on Kashmir and resolve this problem for once. So another point is that even if you look at the Chief Minister Mahbooba Mufti has been continuously trying to have a meaningful dialogue between whether it comes to India and Pakistan.
But I'm afraid, Mr. Rahman, it doesn't seem to have borne fruits just as yet. Let me go back to Junaid Mattu of the National Conference. Mr. Mattu, it's all too good that politically, you continue to criticize the government in power for the situation that we are seeing in the valley. But come to think of it, the National Conference hasn't been of much help. It's only after many days, after in fact over a month of restrictions, that the National Conference actually started talking about the issue. And then Umar Abdullah came to Delhi and met with the President, and the meetings with the Prime Minister happened. Don't you think, as a responsible opposition, even the National Conference should have been proactive?
See, the National Conference has done what the government should have done. Even the MLAs of the ruling dispensation have accepted that. Even their members of parliament have accepted that. Their inaction has been compensated by our proactive approach in going out to Delhi, meeting with national leadership, and also with the Prime Minister, who held a round table with opposition parties and went on record to say that he got a lot of valuable suggestions to deal with the situation.
Okay.
Fact of the matter is that if National Conference had jumped the gun and tried to do what the government should have done from the very first week, these same people would have accused National Conference of trying to instigate the situation, trying to interfere and meddle into the situation. So I think our conscience is clear. We have done more than we should have done as an opposition.
Junaid Mattu and Wahid Rahman, many thanks for speaking with India today. This after the Prime Minister spoke during his address on the radio, his 23rd Mann Ki Baat, in which he sent out a stern warning to separatists in the valley, saying that they will be answerable to the youth of the valley.